So, revisiting any Nintendo classics recently?
I think I said, I hate a scripted podcast. And then you were like, cool, my new mission is to make this sound as unnatural as possible. You can't just be like, hey, so continuing what we were talking about immediately before we press record.
No. Well, that feels like a different type of scripted, right? It's scripted to be like too friendly with the consumer, right? The consumer. The watchers.
Yeah, the watcher. Yeah. They're not consuming shit. They're passively
now they know.
Absorbing. Yeah.
True, yeah.
Yes, I have been re-consuming Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess on the Wii U, the HD remake. I've been playing that the last day or so.
You're a huge Wii U guy.
I am. The Wii U is an underrated masterpiece. I don't talk this way about movies, but I'll talk this way about games. Like, I'm a Nintendo fanboy. The Wii U is like a hidden gem for sure.
Yeah. So what makes it such a gem?
It has a shitload of good games on it, and that's, the most obvious way of knowing that is because they've ported every single one, except for this one that I'm playing right now, onto the Switch. But they've ported a bunch of Wii U games onto the Switch. Like, Mario Kart 8 was a Switch game originally. There's just, obviously, Breath of the Wild was originally a Switch game. So, like, there's a lot of good games on there that didn't get the light of day because nobody bought a fucking Wii U. It's totally Nintendo's own fault. All right, the GameStop employee in me is jumping out, but
no, continue.
It's totally Nintendo's own fault because they had the shitless marketing fucking campaign. Yeah, fuck them for this one thing. But they're doing fine anymore. But no, it's just like you'd be like, oh,
great, actually.
It's the Wii U, and then everybody would be like, is this like a new, like an accessory for the Wii? And then you'd be like, no, it's like a totally new system, but it still uses the Wii remotes and the nunchucks, but only the advanced ones with Wii Motion Plus. And also there's this separate tablet. Okay, so the tablet, it's like a 3DS? No, it's not like a handheld game. It's like a console, but it's got its own handheld screen. Mess. It's a mess. The whole thing, and the name. It's a mess. I have bought 3 Wii U's because I continuously lose my Wii U in every breakup from a long-term relationship that I have. Lost it in the divorce.
It's because they're so popular, Yeah. Your partner's like, man, gotta keep this shit.
That's what kills me. I'm like, these people don't fucking, they don't ride for it the way I do. So what, like.
Facts. They're not on pods to talk about that shit right now.
They're not.
A chance in hell.
They should.
Wait. Whoa. No. Do you homebrew your Wii U?
No, I never do that shit.
Wow.
Yeah. But I hear that, the homebrewed Wii, I did homebrew my Wii, actually, I should say that.
Okay.
So I did do some of the homebrew stuff for Animal Crossing on the Wii. City Folk.
I've heard 3DS is like a crazy good homebrew as well.
I've heard that too. I never got huge into the 3DS. I played it, but after my Game Boy Color, I was like, kind of. Yeah, actually, that's not true. I had a DS and played the fuck out of that, too. I don't know what I'm saying.
Loved my DS. Yeah, I broke the hinge on one DS. I had to get another one. I broke the A button on the second one. It was like, I'm just constantly sending them in for repairs.
It's like, you think like, wow, they were so flimsy, but then you're like, oh, actually, I put 800 hours on this thing.
No, they were not flimsy. The one that I broke the screen for, I would like flick open. like I would put my thumb under it and like just like flip it so it would open by itself.
Is this your card?
Yeah, essentially. Oh man, it was satisfying though. To like click out and like if you did it just right, it would just go to like the first part and not like all the way back. Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. A bit of finesse to it. It's nice, right?
A little bit. A Nintendo finesse. That's their next one. Anyway, the Wii U is a great system, an underrated masterpiece. It's got a lot of bullshit to it too, unfortunately. Like every time, the only reason I don't play it more is because there's so much bullshit involved. Like the tablet has to be charged. Okay, fine. So it's like a separate charging AC cable for that. You also have to have the fucking sensor bar. Remember the sensor bar on the Wii? Yeah, the Wii U has one too. And so you have to set up the fucking sensor bar and put that on the TV too, and that's a separate plug with like a 15-foot long fucking cable. It's a mess. It's a mess, but it's a great system. I have so much fucking fun playing on it.
Now, when you play the gamepad, right? There's not as much setup for that, right? Hopefully.
No, it is just wireless connectivity. So when it came out, I remember when they fucking announced...
Can you play this on the go?
No, because it does require the system. So here's the thing. When it came out...
It's like a couch gaming console then, specifically.
Yes. Well, you can take it like... You can play on just the tablet, but you have to be basically in your home. So you can like play it on the shitter, but like your system
all right, fine.
Yeah. But you can play it just like on the tablet screen.
Right. Okay.
When I worked at GameStop too, I remember I was like, big in the rumor mill. In my peon as a senior game advisor at GameStop role. But so I remember being like, Nintendo's next system is going to be a hybrid. I knew it. I was like, they are going to make this will be the console. The tablet will be the console, and it'll be both. You can do both. You can do it on the go. And I was fucking right. I was so right.
Hell yeah.
It's probably the most right I've ever been about anything in my life. I've never been as right as I was there.
So, like, yeah, it did kind of seem like an iteration, right? So,
yeah,
is there any advantage to buying a Wii U versus a Switch, like, nowadays?
It's the only way that you can play Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD Remake.
Fair. Damn.
It's also, I mean...
Deep cut.
There are some games that have not been ported that I like. Nothing that I think, I'm a weirdo who likes to play, like, Nintendo Land. the game that came packaged with the Wii U. Or, like, there's
classic.
a couple of games I don't think have been ported yet. But, really, I got it to be a Twilight Princess machine. Because I went without one after my divorce for a while. But, it also it is backwards compatible with Wii games. So, like,
okay.
If you want to be able to go back another generation, it's probably a little bit, the tech will probably last a little longer than a Wii. But I don't know. So.
Which, I think I do have. I don't know.
You have a Wii?
Yeah, I could have sworn Caleb and I bought two. In the specific case that...
Shout out Caleb. Whoever
moved out. Shout out Caleb.
Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, the Wii is a great system, too. We had fucking
I love the Wii.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Introduction to Mario Kart. Actually, really the only Mario Kart that I put any significant amount of time into.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
GameCube is the good Mario. I mean, Mario Kart 8 is like
heard.
The perfection of Mario Kart. It kind of sucks because there's nowhere for them to go but down after this one. But, like,
I've also seen people play Mario Kart with the GameCube controller. And it has, like, really easy drifting.
It's perfect, yeah. With those big-ass bubbly fucking bumpers.
Yes.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah. So my friend pulled out, well, you can just use, like, the middle trigger, the, like, yellow one, and it, like, auto-drifts. And he busted that out when, like, we were playing on, like, the Wii, like, handheld things. Whatever they are. They come with it.
The Wiimotes.
And I was like, yeah, the Wiimotes. I was like, all right, wow. Fuck, man. I kind of outclassed there. Yeah. That was tough.
GameCube controller... secretly my favorite controller, I think, actually.
Yeah,
like,
such a wonky design. Crazy.
I love it. I think it's perfect for, like, my weird spindly hands. Like, I feel like it fits better. Like, it works better than the Xbox controller is nice, but it's too big, so it doesn't fit in my palms well. But, like, and my fingers end up wrapping around. Like, my palms, I feel like, are too small for it. But then the PlayStation 4 controller, it's too slender. Like, the legs of it are too... So, like, I feel like there's a grip.
I don't like the PS4 controller. Yeah, they're, like... Yeah. They're so weird to hold in your hand. It's tough.
Yeah.
Not that Switch controllers are much better. Wii was a good controller. That was, like...
Yeah.
I enjoyed the Wii controller. The Wiimote.
That's crazy to fucking like the remotes, I think that's a good one. And I'm a ninja. I would suck Nintendo. If Nintendo was a person, I'd suck and stick. And I'm like, I would not do that. But
that's
the GameCube
crazy.
Controller is. That's the wave. I like the Switch one. The Switch controllers are okay. I feel like it's a good blend. It's made for kids, and I feel like I have a more childlike hand, structure.
So the normal Gameplay Plus controller. I don't know what it's called. Let me bring it over.
I know what you mean. Yeah, the Pro controller. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't talk when you're not near your desk, dumbass. The mic won't pick it up.
I think I yelled loud enough. I don't know.
Oh, great.
Yeah. It. I don't know. This is like a great size for a controller. The
Pro.
I mean, maybe a little small. The Pro controller. Yeah.
Well, they make them for kids, which I think translates better for women.
Right. So. But the one that comes with the Switch that you plug in, it's so small. Like the hand grips, you just can't hold it. I was like, all right, well, this is
the ones
borderline
that are
unplayable.
Do you mean when it's the motion controls, when it's just the Joy-Cons, or do you mean with the little dock?
with the little dock. Like, the dock itself, like, the handholds on that are, like, smaller than on the Pro Controller by a bit. Or at least it seems that way. Maybe I just hold
they
the...
definitely are. No, they are.
The Pro Controller up further.
I like the Joy-Cons, actually. I kind of like... Something I just love about the Joy-Cons is when I'm sitting there on my couch.
Like, loose?
Playing. Yeah, like, I love the motion controls.
You're hanging them loose. That's crazy. Wow.
I can just I could just, like, recline. I can have one, like, kind of, like, up, and then one, like, by my belly or whatever, like, hanging out. Yeah.
With, like, the t-shirt, you had, like, the dude, bro, like crushing 2 beers. Like, yeah, I could just hang that.
Well, yeah, because I do want the motion controls, usually when I'm playing, like, I'm playing Mario, like, or,
a lot of games really need it.
Yeah.
Zelda's
fun.
great for you.
Yeah, but anyway, so we were supposed to talk about Twilight Princess, but then we ended up talking about everything else except that. Our favorite collective game, probably between the two of us.
Okay, so, like, I kind of don't want to talk about something very cheerful before this movie, but we can laud a good company and then look at another company.
No, Nintendo is not a good company. Let's not get it twisted here.
Are they not?
Are you kidding? No, sorry.
I don't know.
The last little bit of Dr. Pepper.
You're
no,
good.
they fucking suck. They're, like, awful for IP. They're, like, some of the most stringent copyright infringement, like, pursuers out there.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. They've got the lawyers. They got the wolves. But I mean, like, they're good to their employees, right?
Some of them, yeah, they have a lot of contract employees. But yeah, I mean, like, as far as, like, video game companies go, it depends, I think, because they have, like, studios within Nintendo, the publishing company.
Right.
You know,
right. Like Game Freak and whatnot.
Right. Yeah. And I have a feeling that they are not worked very well, but the official, like, people who like Nintendo is their employer and not, like, I work for Game Freak, a subsidiary of Nintendo. I feel like they are probably treated pretty well, but there's probably only, like, 1,000 of them. There's not that, anyway, okay.
Yeah. Fair. Yeah.
But yeah,
the umbrella of Nintendo is maybe
yeah
tougher to define. Yeah. It's a good company.
I think they're so successful because they stay so much in their. I don't know. Not to be like they're so successful because they have an extremely conservative approach to their business. But I do think that that's why they have stuck around so long. I mean, they're very protective, very, very cautious, and they make great stuff consistently.
Yeah.
Their quality output is so fucking high. Anyway, this is We Want to Watch, and my name is Lane.
My name's Ricky.
This is a podcast where we talk about things that we want to talk about instead of talking about the depressing movie that we chose for the week.
Yeah. I know I said compare and contrast like a good and a bad company, but this is a bad company.
Yeah, Nintendo is not actively poisoning their their employees.
Right. Yeah. I guess we could do Nintendo and Disney, and that's probably a better comparison between good company,
or,
bad company.
I mean, even Microsoft, like or even Xbox, they lay off like a shitload of people. Yeah. Anyway. This week was Elaine's Frame. We watched Silkwood from 1983, directed by Mike Nichols. This was a movie I had not seen. Obviously, Ricky had not seen it either. That goes without saying. But
whoa! What?
I knew of this movie for a few different reasons. I knew it was well acclaimed. I like this director. Obviously, it's got some pretty big stars. It had some Oscar business going on. It's also written by Nora Ephron, so she had also written like When Harry Met Sally and some other kind of like screenplays before she went on to be her own director of like You've Got Mail and Sleepless in Seattle and some other big kind of like rom-com-y, I don't want to say like women's movies, but she did make movies more geared toward women in general, but so there's just like a lot of star power plus the cast with this movie, so I figured it would be an important kind of like landmark movie for us to watch. Yeah. And I kind of think it was.
Yeah. I definitely was not... So I didn't look up anything about the movie beforehand going into it, and I was not expecting something so serious.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. But definitely a tough watch, right? Like,
yeah, there were definitely some parts of this movie that are like fucking horrifying, like cringeworthy in like a, not in a good way, but not in like the embarrassment way, but in like a visceral way. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. It's tough. I mean, I read afterwards that it's adapted by the book, Who Killed Karen Silkwood by Rolling Stone. And even that is like... The whole thing kind of strikes me as distasteful in many ways.
Oh, really?
I'm glad that the story is being told, because it kind of needs to be told. But it's so tough. I don't know. It hurts. It's one of those things that like it definitely hurts to hear about. And to know how complicit people had to be, sort of. And like especially the movie putting like, I guess, generic friendly folk in a lot of the sort of like supporting roles, and watching that sort of
tell me more about the distasteful part.
I guess. I don't know. Seeing the way that she gets like treated by everyone in her community, who she's looking out for, who she's trying to protect, like while she's actively dying, is like terrifying. And I don't know. It just hurts to watch. I guess it's not distasteful. It's hard. It's hard. It's a hard watch.
Yeah.
I guess, you know what, it's distasteful in the same way that the way that Kurt Russell tries to like console her near the end when she's like very obviously dying. She's like, oh, like we could go and have kids, Mexico, like out in the country, yeah, right. Yada yada. And he keeps like weaving all of these tales. At first I was very turned off by that. I was like, oh, that's so distasteful. Like it's kind of rude to be saying that to her as this is happening. And then like I was like, oh, that's like just like a way to cope, and I guess in a way it can help.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, for sure.
And like in the same way, that like bringing to light these events definitely helps with it. Helps to I guess bring attention to
the story. Yeah.
The story, like
yeah.
I mean, overarching like corporate, not even corporate greed, but like
malfeasance. Yeah.
Malfeasance, yeah.
See,
and the real life implications that has, like the ways that it really, like, affects completely normal people, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
And it is through like a series of not even incompetencies, but like willing compliance to the norm.
Be negligent.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be negligent. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. See, I knew more about this going in.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, obviously, it's still devastating. I personally love a corporate malfeasance thriller. Not to sound like totally flippant. And this one is definitely different than some others, but that are kind of more championing or like have more of like a winning kind of story, where it's more like a positive ending. Like I've never seen Erin Brockovich, but that's kind of one in that vein where it's more like and she took it on and she won. So yeah, like the kind of union activist, like labor rights angle, I eat that shit up like crazy. I fucking like a movie we'll definitely watch on this podcast someday is Michael Clayton. There's just a lot more. There's a lot of movies that are kind of in that vein of like, get them. And I knew that the way that this ended, I knew about her as like a person. I already knew the unfortunate outcome of this story.
Right.
So I wasn't necessarily expecting like a champion kind of ending, but I still was not prepared for just how like devastating of a story this was and how hopeless or cynical kind of feeling at the end it was. And so, yeah. But I mean, like, I something I appreciated about this was that it's not its cynicism, but even just that it's kind of a refusal to paint Karen Silkwood as like a martyr or like a hero in a way. Right. It was very much just like you said, like just an average person who kind of had some fucked up vices and like, had like fights with her boyfriend and her roommate and like, did drugs and whatever, she's just normal and she still didn't deserve to fucking die,
Right. And really, like, no matter what type of person she was, like, she didn't deserve to die.
Right, no, but like, just, the Hollywood version of this story could definitely, like, paint over or wallpaper over some of those things, and I appreciated that it didn't. Yeah.
And especially with, like, some of the other people that, like, are affected and like some of them you just sort of hear about, but like others, like you clearly see contaminated, and it's
so fucking hard. The lady who's like her daughter has cancer as well, and she's like, when that happens, it's like, oh, this is going from like, oh, there's like negligence in the workplace to like, oh, the stakes of this are very, very clearly very high.
She asked a question in the town hall meeting, or in the union meeting.
Yeah, where she's like, how do you get it out of you? Like the radiation. Yeah.
And the guy makes like, oh, you could take the lung out.
A flippant joke, yeah.
Yeah,
but it's so serious, and you can see it on her face, yeah.
And like, he kind of has to know that, right?
Yeah.
Like, totally. You're taking questions from the workers who are dealing with it. I don't know, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, I don't know, a lot of things in this movie like struck me with that, and I get that it's supposed to make you feel that way, but like again, it's just like that's a lot of why it felt distasteful to me. A lot of people, and I mean, they mention it in the film, so like obviously it's supposed to be like that, like, oh, you'll head back to Washington and you'll still have a job, but like we'll be out of a job. That sort of like mentality that some of them have, and it's the same way in that these people will fight for your rights from a distance, right?
Yeah. This movie isn't like pro-union.
Either,
I mean, it is. It's like pro-labor rights, but it's not. It definitely isn't like. And the union is good, and the union will do what's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you
Which
think
is true.
Karen Silkwood's family gets residuals from this movie? I couldn't actually find that when I was looking around at stuff.
Maybe I mean, probably not, because they're no one in her. Well, I guess if her children are depicted, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
probably not.
They are really.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, because I know
Do you think the Rolling Stone, article?
Or the,
do you think that gives any proceeds to them? I'm just wondering. So, the court case, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were, which
I saw that.
mean,
yeah.
It settled after this movie came out, if I'm reading this properly. Yeah. They settled out of court. So it went to court, and then they were found guilty before the movie came out.
Yeah, but they settled in '84. Yeah.
Yeah, right after the movie came out. And they settled for a much lower amount, which is like...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Unfortunately.
Sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. Well, and it's funny, too. I really do think we need to talk about the movie and not just, like, the meta... Not that I'm saying that you're doing
the story.
Just,
yeah.
It's very tempting to talk about, like, the story and, like, everything that came after it, but...
yeah.
I do want to talk about, because I think the movie has some really hits and misses both in it. But as far as the story goes, like,
I'm gonna say I think even talking about the movie is more meta than talking about like the story that it depicts. Am I crazy for that?
Well, I guess not meta, but just like I want to talk about the movie and not just the story. I guess
I got you. Yeah.
But fuck, what was I about to say, Ricky? Oh yes. Reading about the impact this movie had, it seemed like people kind of interpreted it more as a nuclear activism, like nuclear
I was
caution,
going to bring that up later.
Which is so funny because, like, I think you and I both, like, watching it are like, oh, obviously this is about, like, corporations treating their workers like shit. But that's kind of not, like, it doesn't seem like it was received that way as much as, like, a cautionary, nuclear tale. Yeah.
Right. It also has that intrigue at the palace type beat where it's like, somebody could have poisoned her, like, essentially, and it could have been anyone at any time, like, very easily.
Although the movie kind of makes it seem like Craig T. Nelson, the Winston guy, the X-ray guy, like he was because he's just like skulking around the house. When he walked on and he's like, I'm just checking it out just like you, I was like, Kurt Russell, punch this fucking guy, do it.
I had to rewind to watch the punch a couple of times. It's so good. Oh, man.
It's like the only satisfying part of the whole fucking movie, which is sad.
Yeah.
I mean, of course it is, but yeah. But yeah, it's the politics of the movie, just, they're influenced by the politics of the context you watch it in, of course. And so I can definitely see in the 80s people were scared, of nuclear energy and whatnot. So, just it's just interesting to watch it now and have it be like so obviously a story about like labor rights, with like the present context.
Right. And I mean, you kind of can't be mad about the perceived message of feeding into anti-nuclear hysteria.
Totally not. No, not at all.
I think the problem is, though, that, like, the 80s, I mean, just personally, I believe that the environmentalist movements of the 80s, set back environmentalism by a huge degree, right? I'm pro-nuclear, by the way, even after this movie.
Well, sure. I mean, I can't fault people for being nervous about nuclear energy in the greater context, especially back then. But, to me, it's so obvious that, like, they did have something to be worried about if there's this kind of malpractice happening or negligence happening. So.
Oh, yeah. And these, I think it's harder to look at it at, like, a broader view and say, like, oh, okay, like, this type of malcompetence, malfeasance can happen at, like, any level and in any industry. It's very, very tough to see that, especially, like, during the time of rising nuclear tensions. And when it's, like, this was around the Cold War, right? Am I crazy? Was
totally,
that, like, 85-ish? This was before,
yeah. The events of the movie happened in the 70s, and then the movie comes out in the 80s. So, yeah, Cold War is swanging.
Yeah. I'm talking about more when the movie itself came out. Yeah. So it's very, very tough to sort of decouple that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like watching that in theaters, like no way I would ever be like, oh, okay, this was about the company and not evil nuclear energy, which is a silent, deadly killer, which appears out of essentially nowhere if like you work with it. So we need to never work with it. I will say though that Burning Coal, and I think Burning Coal just by itself released like.
Ricky, this is not a fucking environmentalist podcast. We were talking about the movie. Okay, this movie was directed by Mike Nichols, who is...
We are talking about the movie. You're right. Kurt Russell looks great in this movie. It came out one year after The Thing, which is like a crazy...
Shout out The Thing.
Shout out The Thing. Crazy timeline for Kurt Russell to be working off of. I don't know.
Yeah. So, I was going to start with the director.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk about him.
So Mike Nichols is he was half of a comedy duo in the 60s called Nichols and May. You would love this guy. You'd fucking love this guy. I can see on Ricky's face that he's looking at his Wikipedia page right now, and he's like, "Oh, this guy looks great. This guy looks just like me for real." If you look at the pictures
baby face.
Anyway. Not to
talk
about appearances. No, but he directed a lot of, not like a ton, but he directed quite a few movies that were like super groundbreaking as far as what am I trying to say?
I don't know. Like the production value, production quality, the shots composition.
He kind of so he was a like a comedian, right? Like part of this like comedic duo, and then he started his directing career. Like, he came out of the gate making a very controversial movie, and then he made another controversial movie, and then he kind of, like, continued to make shit like this.
What was controversial about them?
Just, like, in the 60s, like, kind of groundbreaking topics of, like...
okay, all right.
Yeah. Like, the one I'm thinking of, and the one that I've seen of all of his stuff, is the Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which is a fucking incredible fucking masterpiece of a movie. And...
The Graduate. He did The Graduate.
He also did The Graduate. He did a couple other movies that you might have heard of. He did The Birdcage, a movie we should watch.
I've seen The Graduate. It's on
nice.
Actually on the back pocket.
Nice. I have not seen it.
I have heard of The Birdcage too.
Yeah. So he just has like a really strong career, kind of doing like, just like groundbreaking or like kind of controversial movies. He did Closer, which if you've ever seen the gif or clip of Natalie Portman in the pink wig as a stripper saying her pussy tastes like heaven, That's a famous one on the internet. It's from that
movie.
No,
I don't think so.
But so anyway, I'm just very interested in his career, kind of more broadly. I would want to watch more stuff of his. We will watch Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf on this podcast someday. I think that's definitely in my canon of Lane movies.
Hell yeah.
But so anyway, so I was expecting this movie to hit, and I think it really does. He does a good job balancing, like, really a lot of, like, empathy, like you're saying, for, like, the average person, you know, the kind of, like, emotion there, and then just, like, this fucking cynicism and, like, dark humor.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of that here, and, like, you know, the, like you said, the kind of, like, the flippant jokes about, like, people getting cooked, or, you know, the like, they'll just take out a lung, or whatever. That treatment, it's just, it really drives, you know, is driven home by the empathy that you have for these, like, characters doing their average thing, having very naturalistic conversations, you know. This could be a melodrama, and it's not. So
another really striking scene is when she's, like, walking through the plant afterwards, and she made this sort of, like, offhand comment, "I don't even know half of you." It's like, tough, and it's right before she, like,
sets off the monitor.
And, like, right before it, as she's walking up to it, like, you have this, like, weird foreboding feeling. I like, and one of the guys, like, makes a comment, and he's like, why don't you, make sure you're taking your samples, and, like, if you miss one, write it in your stupid little book, just like you write about us. And they're, like, heckling her as, I don't know, like, as she's, like, dying. I don't know. And you can see she's already going downhill. Like, you know that, like, working around this is killing her, and then...
Well, she's being poisoned. I mean, she's right. That's the movie is implying that she's deliberately being poisoned.
Even before, even before it's like confirmed by the movie that she's being poisoned, it's already like, all right, well, like, working there is killing her 100%. And then it's like, oh, okay, like, somebody maliciously, actively.
Yeah. The scenes of her,
or maybe not maliciously, actively. It could have just been
negligence, for sure.
Could be complete negligence, which is we hear about negligence all throughout the film, and then, like, it affects, like, the main character, and it's like, well, I don't know.
It affects her. It affects her roommate. It probably affects her boyfriend a little bit, you know, to a lesser extent, like, you know, the whole thing. So the cleanup scenes, like the decontamination scenes, the first one. When Thelma, is that the name of her coworker who is the older lady with the daughter?
Yes.
She's that scene is fucking hard and, like, scary, you know, to hear anybody be like, I don't want to die.
Too.
Yeah. But the first one where Meryl Streep is, like, put through the decontamination, you see just her face in the shower, and, you know, it reminded me of, like, a rape scene. Like, you see a lot of, you know, like, the cliche rape scene, or, like, aftermath of a rape scene is, like, you know, the person crying in the shower. Like, that's a very common kind of, like, trope, to the point where it gets mocked, even. Do you read this as, like, a dark not humor, mocking,
like,
not
like
humor. No,
okay.
No, I don't think of it as, like, a mean-spirited, like, like anything like that. But just it's similar, right? It's like if you're, you know, the thought is, like, if you're taking a shower after a rape, you want to, right? Because you feel dirty, you feel contaminated. I know this is really dark, but, like, I think that's a very normal kind of parallel to draw. And I don't know if that's intentional or not, but it does. It really, like, strikes you with the vulnerability and, like, kind of disgust you would feel in that situation of, like, you know, you're contaminated. That, even that word is, like, very intense. And so I thought that was very a very human, kind of, like, empathetic way of showing her, without sacrificing, like, the brutality of the situation, if that makes sense. Like, you know, it could have been as much, like, blaring sirens and she's yelling and she's saying she doesn't want to die, but instead it's just, like, her face and her hand, and she's being, like, cleaned up and she's crying, kind of pushed against a shower wall. It's a hard scene, but, like, very, just an interesting way of framing it.
All of them are super tough.
They only get more brutal, really.
Yes, yeah. It is really horrific. Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you didn't read that as a dark humor thing, because that would have made me really dislike the movie a lot more. Well, because you were talking about dark humor and stuff earlier, and I did not draw that parallel.
No.
But yeah, I did draw the parallel to like rape and like a rape scene being depicted. I don't know. It's tough. It's like so tough to watch through. Sit through it, especially like I don't know. They seem almost like vindictive sometimes.
They are. Yeah, I think totally. Like the decontamination gets more brutal because they don't like her and they don't like what she's doing. Like I think there's no argument to be made that's not the conclusion we're supposed to draw.
Yeah.
So
sucks. Yeah.
It does. It really sucks. But I think that this movie is very successful in most ways. I do think that it struggles to stick the landing the very, very end. Like the very end. Like the montage kind of like scene with the music. It's just a little too jaunty, a little too like saccharine in a way that clashes with a lot of what this movie was going for up to that point.
Very in the arms of the angels.
Yes.
Like it felt like a commercial pop-up. I was like, this is not the tone or setting that has been present throughout the entire film at all. I guess a touching send-off, but like feels in really bad taste. Compared to the rest of the film.
Yeah, especially because the movie is so, like you're saying, cynical and like not distasteful, but just like, you're left being like, it's cynical about society and about these institutions that failed to protect her, the union, the company, her community, all the union
things. Who goaded her on, essentially.
And threw her under the bus, Yeah.
The reporter who, like, essentially sent her to her death repeatedly. I don't know. It, like, a lot of those walks in and out of the plant, they're like gallows walks. Like,
they totally are.
Yeah.
So the very end where it's just like this like flashback to a moment that was just like 5 minutes prior in the movie, which felt very weird. Like why would you not flash back to her, like a scene with her and her kids, or like a scene of her and Kurt Russell earlier in the film? Like it felt very bizarre.
It also wasn't like a particularly touching scene. Like I mean, we knew she was dying. And she's like, "Oh yeah, I took your shirt." Haha. Like. Yeah. Okay.
It's bizarre. It was definitely like a weird. It felt like a studio note almost. Like we gotta put this on a slightly more uplifting, or like I don't know, kind of way. Because I would expect this movie to end darkly, to end on a cynical, sad, fucked up, angry note. And instead it kind of was like, well, she did kind of, like, she was having a good time with Kurt Russell, and also she did take Quaaludes, so who's to know? Like, the end card, even, I don't like the way it's written.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say, like, everything about the end, it just felt really off. This song also felt like a weird touch.
Yes, the song was like, weird. The Amazing Grace. Yeah, even though like she was singing it earlier, but like it just
didn't feel connected enough to the themes of the movie for me to care at all that she had sung it earlier. I don't know. Like hearing it at the end, it was just so jarring. And with the backdrop there, I don't know.
Yeah. I guess
Kinda
too.
tough.
I was just gonna say like. If she had just been like singing over a black screen, that might have been.
I would have liked that a lot more. Yeah,
something like that, or like or even just like her singing over. If you're gonna keep the title card or like the end card in, just her singing over that for like a really long time, that could be more effective. But it just
the montage and the montage didn't like feel. I mean, maybe different sensibilities. Just felt like weird. Didn't feel very put together.
Yeah, it was strange for sure.
A little, I don't know. I don't want to say disrespectful, but like I don't know. It just it did.
It's corny.
Corny. Corny.
Yeah.
Off. Yeah.
I also I mean, I like the attention that they pay with her relationship with the two of them, with both Kurt Russell and Cher. But there were parts of that did feel a little bit melodramatic as well. When she... Like, there are some interactions she has with... I think all of these performances are great, but I think that they're written sometimes leave something to be desired. Go ahead. You got stuff to say.
I think maybe we should mention... I think almost everything in this movie is pretty well acted. Everyone does a really pretty good job.
Totally. Everyone's great. It's a great cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loved watching it. You mentioned earlier, super star power. A lot of star power up there.
Yeah.
Everyone looks great, gives a great performance. So great job to these guys, really. Good job.
Yeah.
Enjoyed the film. But yeah, I don't know. On the flip side, yeah, I like the performances from, like, I don't want to call them the main three, but that, like, trio.
Yeah. The roommates.
It felt real to life. It helped give a lot more empathy to the characters, because you get to see them as, like, real people, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really moved by her relationship with Kurt Russell, especially when he's saying goodbye and he's driving off. That was pretty wrenching. But then, like, some of the, like, sniping with her and Cher, the Dolly character, that just felt a little bit, like, cooked up just to cause tension, like, in conflict.
Yeah.
It didn't... It felt like, okay, how much more do you need, I guess? Like, her breaking up with her boyfriend or, like, separating, that felt like enough to me. Like, we didn't need to also have this, like, love half triangle or, like, weird, kind of thing with Cher. Like, that was just a little bit much. Although I did appreciate the scene where they're like, "Oh, you were making enough noise, huh?" And then as she, like, introduces her girlfriend, and then they walk away, and they're both just, like, jaw on the floor, like, "Whoo!" That got a good laugh out of me. Very of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it felt pretty human. I liked their interactions.
Yes.
It was fun.
Yeah. In the front half, it's fun. In the back half, like I said, it's tough.
It's a little tough. Yeah. Were they actually, like, in real life? I didn't read up on that. But was Karen Silkwood, like, sort of involved with her roommate Dolly at all? Or?
It says allegedly. I read some, like, there were inklings of it, but nothing confirmed. I mean, this movie, I think, makes it clear that they are not supposed to be. Right. But, I mean, who knows? Back then, too, like,
I don't think it was, like, as acceptable out in public, so it's like, oh, they were good friends. It's like, oh, okay, so, like, how good friends were they? I don't know.
I don't even necessarily think it's that they wanted to, like, cover it up because it wasn't acceptable, but more that if it did happen, it would be seen as, like, slandering her character. Like, how much more do we need to show, like, of this woman's, like, vices? One of them maybe being that she was bisexual or gay. So I could definitely see it being like, well, we want to be tasteful, we want to be respectful of her, so we're going to downplay the things that we think are, like, less savory. They also, because they mentioned...
nobody who was in the boardroom there was there for the end card? Like those two discussions happened completely separately, is what you're telling me here.
Well, maybe, but they do mention just one quick weird thing that who is it? Thelma? Is it Thelma? At one point they're having a conversation. She's like, you and Drew should, like, settle down and, like, get committed to each other. And she's like, yeah, maybe then they'd stop talking about us so much and, the drugs we do. And Thelma is like, yeah, the kinds of sex. And to me, I was like, is that hinting at, like, that they're a throuple? Or is that is she kinky or something? Like, what's the kinds of sex? Like, it was just a weird offhanded thing. Yeah. So
I didn't even pick up on it. Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I appreciate that this was a 3-dimensional, not just, like, glorifying view of what she did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was going to mention the doctors near the end. The scene where they travel to meet the doctors, and then, like, the even those side characters like were pretty good actors in the way that they sort of played up the tension in like the room between the doctors themselves and like the one guy who's essentially like trying to be like, hey, like,
yeah,
you know, our machines don't really do the best, and the guy's like, that's still under our allowed limit.
Yeah,
just to sort of like bring attention to it and be like, hey, well, maybe you should look into that a bit further.
Yeah. Did you recognize? And I didn't even notice. I realized this as I was watching, just to have a little bit of fun. One of the doctors in that room when they're in Los Alamos is Chilton from Silence of the Lambs, the like pompous ass from Silence of the Lambs, who like is the one who's like, I'm gonna lock you up, Lecter, and you're gonna, you know, play nice. Like he's like, yeah, just like a total douchebag.
Wow, no, I didn't notice that. That's crazy, actually, that you pick up on that.
Well,
wow.
It's like, it's my superpower. That's the only thing I'm really good at with movies, is like being like, oh, that actor's, I can recognize this character actor who's in a 2-minute scene from some other movie they did 15 years later. There's actually, I mean, this movie is kind of secretly stacked with like that guys, like those guys, like guys, you know, like Bruce McGill, you might recognize. He's the guy who plays Hurley, the like plant manager, whatever. He's in a bunch of Michael Mann movies. He was in Animal House. He was one of the like roughhousers, rabble-rousers from Animal House.
Right.
He plays like a southern lawyer kind of type. He's got jowls. If you looked him up, you would recognize his face as like an older guy with white hair.
Yeah.
I think he was in Lincoln.
What was his name? What's his name?
Bruce McGill.
Even the name sounds familiar, yeah.
Yeah. I want to say he was in Lincoln. He's like just you want to bring him in and he'll be like a I say, you know, he's like that kind of type.
All right, I have to look up his character. Oh, Hurley. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
He plays like a good judge. Like he's a judge, you know, he'll be a judge for your movie.
Yeah.
Being a character actor must be so great. I feel like it must be awesome to just like be you know, a guy that they'll call. They're like, we need a lawyer type. Like we need somebody who can do a Louisiana Bayou accent. Like let's get Bruce McGill in.
Bruce McGill, like only a few of his roles have like the quotations and then like a secondary narrator. But I feel like all of them should have it, right?
Yeah.
Earl, a lot of these are like single world. Yeah. A lot of these are like single word, or it's like an occupation, like William the Blacksmith.
Mason,
you know, I feel like
Hurley,
that's what he
Daniel
wants to do.
D-Day's Day.
Yeah,
Blood. His first credited role is Blood. Yeah. Like, I feel like that'd be great. That'd be a great job to have. It's just like...
Oh, yeah.
You know.
You're just that guy. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would be so good at that.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I wish they had more character actresses. I feel like I could kill as like a Bruce McGill type. You know, or like...
You got to get out there. Be like... Posted Craigslist in LA. I could be a great Bruce McGill type.
Do you need a Bruce McGill who's 5'9" with cunty bangs?
Look no further.
But yeah, I mean, this movie, M. Emmett Walsh is another one. He's one of the corporate guys at the plant. He does a lot of those types of roles. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I just say that under Bruce McGill's early life in Wikipedia, it says McGill was born in San Antonio, Texas, the son of... Hey, stop that, Oreo. Get out of it.
I see.
Sorry. Sorry, on the background. The son of Adriel Squeaky Rose. I just love it.
That's good stuff.
And Woodrow Wilson McGill? Hello? Like, what a stacked pair of parents. Yeah. That's crazy.
The son of... It's really cool to see the mom has a nickname too.
Yeah.
Squeaky, like he was born for this. Oh my god. Anyway, we don't have to talk about the cast too much. Craig Nelson,
No, my god, we don't have to talk about the cast too much. Craig Nelson.
I do want to point out. I wanted to point out that he's the voice of Mr. Incredible.
Oh, that's cool. Wow.
Anytime a character or an actor is like somebody from a movie, I know that you'll recognize them. Like, I have to point this out to Ricky. Like, it's an imperative. It's a moral imperative, in fact.
I vaguely know this guy's face too. Yeah.
He has a face. He definitely has a recognizable face. He's in Poltergeist.
Winston.
That's like the big one.
Oh, yeah. He does look older.
He's in some other movies, but apparently he's in Young Sheldon. Sure.
Who's he in Young Sheldon?
For me. I don't know. Probably Old Sheldon.
He's not Old Sheldon in Young Sheldon. He's Dale Ballard in Young Sheldon.
Oh, of course.
He's only been on there for the last 7 years, Lane. God.
The world of TV is so crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So outside of my fucking orbit. Anytime someone's like, watch this TV, I'm like, no. It's not gonna happen. I'm sorry. I won't do it.
I don't know. I throw on some TV every now and again, but like, I don't know. It's tough.
Why would you do that to yourself? Like, why? Like, even, I'm sure, and this is not about I'm sure that there are perfectly good TV shows out there. I've seen a couple of them, but you know what? That's enough for me.
My friends got me to watch Breaking Bad recently. That was a big one.
It was. That was delightful. That was like a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
You know, to be able to...
to be able to enjoy it, or...
No, just to wait until you came across the Todd character.
Yeah.
This movie also has a bit of a ticking time bomb. Not to come back to it, but like the monitor, the hand monitor, is very like Hitchcockian almost, of like, you know, the like Chekhov's gun like rule.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Very, very like, oh, this is gonna go off at some point, and it's gonna be fucking devastating, and it's gonna be, you know, you're not even gonna realize it when it's going to happen. Like, it's not gonna be obvious when it's about to go off. It's there is a sense of dread that
pervades the atmosphere.
Yeah.
It's
well done.
It is well done. And some of the alarm scenes, when the alarm is going off, it's like it hits you with the shock, like the impact of the emotions, not only on the character's face, but the way that like it cuts rapidly between Karen and just like what she's seeing, and then like just the people around her and how they look at her. I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, when she sets it off with all of the new people in there, and they all just kind of like dutifully put on their like respirators and kind of like glove up and stuff, like it's routine, is so crazy. Like the routineness of it, and kind of like disdain that they feel for her at that point is really hard.
Well, there was one after that. I think she might have been entering the building. She was either entering or exiting.
When she enters and she immediately goes off.
She's like in the box. Yeah. That's like just the way that shot right there is tough. Really tough.
Yeah. Agreed. I do think this movie looks really good. I think there are some shots where, you know, just the composition of like where there's this like technology kind of being framed in such a way to make it seem very ominous, or even just like dreadful and lurking, where it'll be like, you know, people kind of boxed in like in these hallways, or you know, these big machines kind of like off to one side, and then the people kind of standing next to them feeling dwarfed by it. It just leads or lends a sense of claustrophobia to the whole thing.
So at the very, very beginning, I thought that this was going to be closer to like a whodunit.
Oh sure, because they pin it on her, and you're like, oh, are we gonna get to the bottom of like who, you know, is that what's gonna motivate her to? Yeah, and it kind of does, but it doesn't. That's not where it goes.
Right, and that's the thing. But you see that like it might not only be one person that's like sort of implicit in doing these things.
Yeah,
and it's really. I don't know. It's an interesting take on like, I don't want to say like the cult of personality, but like the way that like the culture formed within this company, and it's like it's obviously self-destructive because like the people there that are protecting it, even if they aren't directly a part of it, are still like feeling the effects of it.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's tough. Yeah, and like they're actively dying. And they're defending it. Yeah.
Well, but that's the thing. It's like, you know,
they kind of have to.
You know, the economic imperative, or like the economic consequences are scary and immediate, and the possibility of getting cancer is lofty, and people didn't really. They didn't know back then. It's all of the smoking that they do is so funny. Like it's also very cynical and dark. I think it's like a dark humor kind of twist. Yeah, but I don't. It just This movie does have a little bit of like a melodramatic or like kind of preachy, tone. I don't think that's the direction so much. I think that's just kind of part of like making a movie where there's like Meryl Streep and Kurt Russell and Cher, and like all these big movie stars, like, portraying like Texas or Oklahoma, like workers. Like there's a little bit that is like message-y, but it, I think nowadays it doesn't really come across that way so much, but I can see, again, kind of like in the context of the 80s, I could see this being like, well, what do they know? And like how it could seem as like patronizing or like condescending, the performances, and like, some of the like wry, dry humor of like them smoking inside of these, the fucking nuclear plant, like, that kind of thing. I could see it just being kind of like melodramatic and after school specialty.
Yeah, for sure. I'll say that since I'm not particularly in tune with the stars, right?
Sure.
The stars,
it's easier to see them.
Yeah, it didn't like knock me out. I was just like, oh, okay, these are all fine actors. I've seen them all before.
But it's
even
Meryl
like
Streep.
Didn't really recognize Cher. I didn't recognize Meryl Streep. Not a Cher guy. Sorry.
Really, you didn't recognize her? I feel like she's the most recognizable of all of them, even though she's obviously made under in this movie and was rewarded for it. But
I don't know. I haven't really listened to much of her music. I didn't know she was in like movies either, so I didn't.
Oh, really? She's an Oscar winner. We'll watch Moonstruck someday. Moonstruck someday. Good ass movie. You'd love that fucking movie. It's got one of the more early unhinged Nick Cage performances.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you'd like it. I was like, oh, this movie seems like it's gonna be fine, but like kind of corny. And no, it's fucking good. It's good. It's fucking capital G good.
Sheesh.
But anyway, very corny. Like a very
okay.
But yeah, she's a great actress. She does a good job here. I think Meryl.
Yeah.
She's always good. When is she bad? But
I'd say some scenes with Kurt Russell actually felt like he was the weakest in the cast.
Oh, he for sure is probably the weakest.
Yeah, okay, cool. I just wanted to like I wanted to tread lightly there. I know we like Kurt Russell here, but
we do. We shout out Kurt Russell,
I feel like he did much better in The Thing, like a year before that.
I think The Thing is more up his speed, or more his speed. Like, he, he's a star. He's not the star here. He's not. He's not.
And he doesn't take the
guy.
backseat role very well. Like,
no, and he doesn't have. I think he does really well. Like, when he's given a chance to shine. Like when he's like when he gets out. Okay, and this I might just be like susceptible, but when he like gets out of the car, like stops the car when he's leaving, and he comes back and he's like, I really loved it, baby. I was like, oh, I could not handle it with the grace that Meryl handles. I would be screaming and crying on the ground. But so he like does a great job there, but he doesn't have the range that the actresses do.
The one scene of him walking down the stairs, he's like buckling the belt back up.
Yeah. He's crazy. So shirtless in this movie.
Yeah, he's shirtless so like shirtless.
They knew.
Oh yeah. But yeah, okay. I was because you made a few points in a row. That was just one of them.
Sorry. Yes. Yeah.
The other one.
How hot Kurt Russell is.
Yeah. well, that was just a little side tangent we had to bring up, right? The machinery in the background.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Yeah. How ominous it appears, and like. Sometimes it's kind of alien, and sometimes they just kind of play it for jokes, right? So it's like it's a funny sort of duality there. I don't know.
Well, it's just No. I think you're spot on. It really drives home that like they're not taking their job seriously. The work culture is to not take it seriously. It's to be flippant. It's to eat birthday cake in the room. Like they're eating the birthday cake. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
You're eating plutonium. Like, what's wrong with you?
When they all like have to put it in the bags afterwards and like mark it as contaminated.
Yeah.
Tough.
Well, that's when she says weird. And that's the first time I was like, oh, is she being poisoned? Because that's when she's contaminated, is when she goes to clean it up. And that's because Bruce McGill is like, clean this up after your shift. Like, clean up the crumbs after your shift. I was like, oh, like, did he, like, do something to, like, plant exposure, you know, for her? Like, when she was going back to clean it up and it was just her? Like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, maybe.
It's paranoid thinking.
Yeah,
but, like,
it's paranoid.
Yeah.
I was thinking, like, the antihistamines or, like, the pills that she was taking, whatever they were.
Yeah.
Because, like,
I don't think I think they were Quaaludes, right?
Yeah, they were Quaaludes, or they were, like,
some other,
whatever. Yeah, because she liked those drugs. Cool, fine. But yeah, I don't know. It could have been anything, right? And that's the thing. It could have been in, like, a water bottle, right? Like, not the Aslan takes a sip of water, just, like, on the mind. No.
Oh my god.
But yeah, it could be anything.
No,
and
actually,
that's a part of why it's so scary.
We gotta talk about this. There's a fucking boil water advisory in my area, and there's going to be until Tuesday. Yeah, there was, like, a water main break because of all the storms and stuff, and I was like,
yeah, that happens.
Oh, you know, I'm not super paranoid. I'm not, like, super, like, I'm not, like, a germaphobe or anything like that, but, like, I am like, man, what the fuck? And so I did feel a little bit extra icky watching this movie and being like, I can't drink the water out of my tap
contamination.
Right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, obviously, like, not anywhere near as serious, but just, like, the parallels was freaking me out just a little bit to, like, not be able to just, like, take a shower with my mouth open.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. That kind of happens in, like, any big city is going to have that every now and again, just because, like, if you have flooding in an area where, like, they need, like, huge reservoirs of water all the time.
Am I being mansplained to on my own fucking podcast? Is that real? Are we really? Are you going to tell me about utilities? Come on,
because
man.
I mentioned it once. Because I mentioned it once. Near Philly, and you were like, "Oh, that's classic Philly happening." Yeah, that's right. I'm bringing up the receipts.
I don't even. Watchers, get us in the comments.
This was like a year ago. maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Probably longer.
Yeah, offline, not on mic.
Offline, not on mic. Not related to this at all. This is personal, Lane. All right,
bro. I just be saying shit. Like, you can't pull up the receipts. Also, you don't have receipts. You can't just be like, I don't have the receipts
to pull up. I just vaguely remembered
receipts,
it.
My brain. Source, trust me, bro.
It came to me in a dream.
Well, and I'm going to Texas this week, and so I was like, oh, she's going to Texas. I'm going to Texas. Am I about to get Karen Silkwooded? What if I die? This would be crazy.
Please, no. God, who's going to do the editing for this episode? That's so horrible.
Oh my god, yeah. I like the idea that you would still put it out and then just we could never have another episode. No, you wouldn't, like, put, like, a little coda in there, like, by the way, Lane died in a plane crash. You just edit the episode like normal.
I would probably actually put up a montage, and I would put the song at the end.
Of me flashing my boob at somebody to try and get them out of the room.
I'd have, like, the like, your headstone and everything. This is getting really macabre, but I would try to shot for shot recreate it.
That'd be really funny, actually. You have my permission when I die. If I die a premature death, she is 28 in this movie. Shout out me being 28.
All right, no, this has to stop. Let's stop joking about this.
I would never do Quaaludes because you can't do Quaaludes.
This was such a left turn.
Because Quaaludes don't exist. 40 years ago, we had Karen Quaaludes.
Please. 40 years ago, we had Cher, Kurt Quaalude, and Meryl Weed.
And Meryl Mullet.
Meryl Mullet. Okay. Mullet Streep we could go with, too. That's...
Mullet Streep, that's good. Now we got no mullets, no Quaaludes, and no Cher. Well, we do have Cher, she's still alive.
This movie was 40 years ago. That's crazy.
41.
Fuck.
That's crazy.
Fuck.
40 years ago, not 20. This is a good movie, though. I'm glad we watched it. Definitely a downer. Definitely not, like, transcendent, but still very good.
Not transcendent, still very good. Weird that it's made so inaccessible to watch as to be almost illegal.
Yes, actually, yeah, we should talk about that too, because I had to switch stream. I did put a tag in the last episode about what site to watch it on, so sorry. Hopefully you found a good streaming service, because the one I suggested was not very good. I had to switch, but if you Google Silkwood Watch Free HD 1983 online, you should find something. Like, we're in 2024, you should know how to do that at this point, watchers.
Yeah, but I watched, like, the first hour and a half on the one you sent, and...
Yeah.
like right around there. It would like stop hosting it, and then I went to like the different like mirrors or whatever, and they were working. I was like, all right,
happened to me too.
Yeah. Which is not a pain, but like the fact that you can like take down like media from like the web, right? Which is like fine, I guess. Like as the media holder, whatever, that's fine. It doesn't need to be streamed. Not everything needs to be available on streaming.
It's weird that you can't buy it for rent.
Right.
Or purchase it to own. It is weird that you can't like own it digitally.
You have to like find a DVD, which is like at this point, like let's be real, outdated technology. Honestly, you talked about making a physical media collection previously. I don't know if you've mentioned it on the pod, but I know it's something that you do.
Yeah.
And I support it like wholeheartedly, 100%, because it's crazy. It's crazy that you can just like not be able to find something to watch online somewhere legally.
We're kind of coming back around to why Nintendo is a shitty company, because they take their shit. They're like, fuck video game preservation. That's a part of why I brought up how the Nintendo, I think 3DS has like a great like modding scene, because homebrew,
like the homebrew, you can crack like every game onto it like really really super easily.
There's also like 6,000 DS games. Like there's a crazy number of DS games.
I love.
You have to. But. No, well, apparently this was licensed. So this was released on DVD and Blu-ray by Kino Lorber, which is like kind of like an art house kind of international like distributor, kind of like Criterion, but like a little bit more international focused. Okay. But then it's just weird that there's not even like a torrent for it. There's like a 2-seater torrent on Pirate Bay, I noticed, and that was it. So yeah, it sucks. It is kind of a forgotten movie. I don't think you hear about this movie too much. I only know of it because I had dived. I went and looked at the director's filmography, and I knew it as one of...
into his filmography.
I did not delve. But because it's one of Meryl's Oscar nominations, one of her like 20 whatever Oscar nominations. But it's like a kind of forgotten movie.
Yeah, it's impressive how impactful it could have been for the time to be forgotten at this point. That it got like Oscar noms, and it's just like
there's a lot of okay. We can't.
I get you know what there are a lot of movies, and I guess there are a lot of movies like that too. Just by
I wasn't even gonna say it like that.
There being a huge number of movies.
I just meant like I bet I could name Oscar nominated for Best Picture films from the last 10 years that you've never heard of. Like that's the 100%. Thing. It's like you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like like have you ever seen Coda? Did you watch Coda?
Nah.
Do you know anything about Coda?
Probably not.
That movie's gonna be forgotten quickly, more so even than it is now. That movie
Coda
fucking
with a C or a K?
In 2021. With a C, it stands for Children of Deaf Adults. A perfectly fine movie that is perfectly fine, but just absolutely not divisive at all. And so it was like everybody's second favorite movie, I think, in 2021, and that's why it won. But anyway, I mean, there's just the Oscars are not a good metric, I think, for like the longevity of a movie. Sometimes they are. Sometimes they get it right, but oftentimes they get it very wrong.
Pretty fair.
Anyway.
Sorry, Lionel is messing around.
Oh, hey, Lionel. Do you have anything else you'd like to say about Silkwood from 1983, directed by Mike Nichols?
No. I think the title, Who Killed Karen Silkwood, the title of the article, Who Killed Karen Silkwood, fits really super well. Silkwood is nice, but like Who Killed Karen Silkwood is I don't know, almost iconic.
It's pulpier.
Yeah. It also adds to like the general vibe of this film. Like after I read that, I was like, oh, okay, like that should have been the title. That like feels like what happened. Like I don't know.
I don't disagree. I think it's a better book title than just Silkwood. I do think Silkwood is a better movie title, just because who blank 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 or who did this is a very like 50s, 60s, pulpy, like trashy kind of movie title.
Yeah,
like there's a lot of like trashy movies from that, and that's not to say that one of my favorite movies of all time kind of follows that format. But
what is that? Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Baby Jane. Actually, Who Framed Roger Rabbit's is a throwback in that way too. Yeah. But Whatever Happened to Baby Jane is the one I'm thinking of.
Whatever Happened to Baby Jane? Cool.
We'll watch that one day. That movie will fucking knock your fucking socks off. You will be like, they made movies like this back then?
Hell yeah.
They could say this on screen? They could do this? Anyway.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Anyway. I can't even hear whatever noises you just made.
I didn't make any noise. I was just doing.
Oh, okay.
Little
Ricky was soy facing.
I was soy facing.
This next movie is a Rick's pick.
This next movie is a Rick's pick.
I gave you free reign here, so don't do me dirty, is what I'll say.
What would you say to, just since it's on the mind, Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Oh, I would fucking love to fucking get drunk and watch that movie in my
Let's
hotel.
Go!
Are you kidding me?
Hell yeah.
You've seen
I
that
wanted
movie,
to do an
right?
animation, and then, like, we were talking about that movie.
And you were like, damn, we should watch this movie.
And especially how it's maybe had better reception than Chip and Dale, and there might be different reasons for that. I don't know. I haven't seen Chip and Dale, but
the fact that you were
seriously
considering... The fact that you were seriously considering Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers is really funny. Like, you were like, which of these two movies fits the format of our podcast, which is watching important films.
Listen, alright. C&D-RR is a great movie. Supposedly, I haven't seen it yet. It's maybe an okay movie.
Have you seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit from 1988, directed by Robert Zemeckis? You haven't?
I have not.
Really?
I've seen, like, clips from it. I haven't seen the movie.
I totally thought you had seen it.
No.
Oh my god. Ricky, you're about to watch, literally, not kidding you, maybe one of the top 3 movies we've watched on this podcast.
Hell yeah, let's go.
I'm so, you are going to dance on this movie's dick. It's gonna be crazy. Like,
hell yeah, gonna be doing tricks and shit on it. Let's go.
Wow, I'm so excited to fucking watch this movie. Okay.
Damn.
Sweet.
I get tired.
I think it's... What's that? Oh,
nothing.
Beautiful. Okay, cool. Give us a... I'm so hyped now. I'm reinvigorated. I was like, I don't want to fucking fly to Dallas. Now I'm like, I can't wait to get to my goddamn hotel.
Yeah.
It's the same one. It's gonna be the same hotel I recorded Beyond the Sea in, too.
You were telling me about this. Yeah, with the same cockroaches and everything, yeah.
Yeah, not cockroaches, but the door was kicked in.
Oh,
so...
right.
I'll make sure not to read my hotel room number into
Smart.
the mic until the episode after I've left comes out.
All right. Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, I think last time I read the full address.
You did. You did have like 2 hotels because weren't you at like 2? You were at 1, and then
I was at 2 hotels. Yeah. They hate me there.
Yeah.
Okay. Next week, give us a cold read.
Next week on We Want to Watch, we will be watching Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
That's not how we say it.
Directed
the name
by
of our podcast is the
Robert
thing,
Zemeckis.
is the tag. It's We Want to Watch Roger Rabbit. Come on, like, bro.
Next week, we want to watch Roger Rabbit, directed by Robert Zemeckis in... Oh, fuck. Okay, next week...
Who Framed Robert Zemeckis, directed by Roger Rabbit.
Next week, we want to watch Who Framed Roger Rabbit, directed by Robert Zemeckis in... I need some help with the year,
1988.
88. Wow, early. That's crazy.
Yeah, this movie's gonna fucking rock your world. You're gonna be like, this came out in the 80s?
80s?
This came out in fucking 1988?
I have a particular soft spot in my heart for anything with an alliteration. So Roger Rabbit, I've always heard of before, and I've always been like, yeah, that's gotta be good. Yeah. Come on.
Obviously, because we all know your real name is Ricky Roger Rabbit.
That's Ricky
Roger
Rabbit.
No, now I have to bleep it.
Leave it in. Wait.
Leaving your last name.
Levy Lane. Wait. I can fix it. Ricky Roger Rabbit. 1993.
You were born in 93.
No, the movie title. The movie came out in 1993.
Oh. You're making it worse.
Oh.
You're making it worse. Now, I'm leaving it in. Now people, okay, watchers,
I'll do Ricky
for you.
Roger Rabbit 1988.
Figure out what movie that starts with R that came out in 1993.
Yeah.
Is Ricky's last name. I'm going to go to...
I feel like it's not a very extensive list. What American came out in 1993?
I'm gonna kill you in the edit. Ricky Remains of the Day, obviously, is your last name. Oh yeah, on the first page.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, let's go.
You know what though? I'm leaving it in. It'll be funny.
Why not?
If people can, you're ungoogleable anyway. You're like me.
There's like a billion Ricky out there. and I am the least noteworthy of all of them. There's at least one SoundCloud rapper.
Presence.
So
that's you, and you know it. Anyway, can you give us a nice rendition, a nice Ricky rendition of Cher's "Believe" as we take us out?
Is that the one that goes? Do you?
Yes, that's the one. That's the one.
Love after love. Boom, boom, boom. I don't know the words to this song. Akita doesn't like me singing it.
That's perfect. Actually, that's actually perfect.
I'm so sorry.